Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about reality shifting. This is the dry marker. It shall go away now. Alright, so reality shifting, for one, what is it? That's a good question. Different people are trying to do this sort of thing, and different people think it's a different thing. So, reality shifting is sometimes called reality leaping, reality jumping, quantum leaping, reality scripting. It's somewhat related to lucid dreaming. And you could call it a type of time travel. I think people who are trying stuff like time travel are probably using reality shifting to do some of it. You can also consider it something like an out-of-body experience. There's a lot that this could be considered. And there's a lot of different ways people are trying to attempt it. So it's kind of a big subject matter that everyone is kind of trying to make their stake in. Now, the example that I've been given before of reality shifting is that, say, you're over here and you decide, I want to be in a kind of reality where I can fly. There are the tiniest little wings. And there are dinosaurs. Rah. Apologies, this is a difficult angle to draw at. So a lot of people will try this with dreaming. They'll either dream or go into a trance, and I believe that with reality scripting, they basically kind of say, this is the reality that I will wake up into. Sometimes you can do this with hypnosis or other kinds of altered state work. You can do it with meditation, whatever. But basically, you're having a sort of experience of what it's like to be in this kind of reality. But you're still usually you. Now, there's another kind I have heard about. A lot of people on TikTok were talking about this at one point, but I think that a lot of people on TikTok are just joking. Someone decides to reality script into a version of Harry Potter where they then just kind of, I don't know, murder Draco Malfoy with a hammer is what I heard. And so they post their reality shifting experience, and then a bunch of other reality shifters reply to them saying, you just murdered Draco Malfoy. Just because it's in a different reality doesn't mean it wasn't real murder. And I just, that's what I think about that kind of reality shifting. This is fun social drama, but it's not, it's about as real as dreams. And then that's pretty much where it ends. You can get people who kind of like decide to just jump to whatever sort of experience, and they have that experience. But, I mean, often we just call that dreaming. So, what makes reality shifting? What is the shift? And also, how can you truly experience a different reality? So, whenever I was in middle school, I don't remember exactly which grade. Actually, very early middle school. It was about 4th grade. So, in 4th grade, I was on the school bus, and I looked at a classmate across the aisle on the school bus who was looking out the window. And I thought at that moment, now, I am here. There's my hair. And this person is over here. They're having their own experience over here. You know, there's other people, usually 2 to a seat whenever it's school buses. I mean, if you're small, it's 3. However many they can cram in there. So there's all these different people. I'm here experiencing my reality. And I know that I'm me because I am me. What would it be like in that moment, I thought, to be this classmate? Not only would I be that classmate, but I would also have their memories. I would have like all of the experience that I would have had up until my life would have been their experience. The way that I would actually see the world would look like the world according to them. So, for instance, I would pay more attention. I would think in the symbols that they learned instead of the symbols that I learned. I would know the languages that they knew instead of the languages that I knew. And like this could be, I started just thinking like, how different does it get? Like, when this person, like reads, do they read differently? Does their mind create a different imagination kind of state? Do they see things? Do they experience things differently? And then I got down to the question, at one point, is it possible for me to actually experience all of that immersion, being another person, and still remember that I am me? And I've been asking that question ever since. I think I have the answer. So I think that if I jumped over there to be this person, I would probably forget being me for a while. I might remember it at first. It would probably trail off a bit, and then I would start being this person and just doing their stuff and going on with their lives. Getting wrapped up in that, pretty much convinced that that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. Go to sleep or, close my eyes, daydream or whatever, and suddenly I'm here again, remembering that I just went through that. When you get back to where you were before, when you jump back to your own reality, that's when you have a chance to remember and be aware of what it is that you just did. So I have obviously experienced something akin to this. And I am convinced that this is reality shifting. This is what reality shifting is going to be like for most people, and it is what it is like for most people. For instance, sorry, I had to pause for a second. For instance, consider actors. Actors sometimes stay in character for the entire shooting of a film, and they basically are that person for the entire shooting of the film, and then they come back out of that after the role is done. For that role, they were that person. But they all experienced that in the same body, Like, you go to work, and you're your character. You put that hat on. You go home, you take the hat off. You can also take the hat on and off at work if you want. A lot of actors stay in character for a long time, at least the day of the shoot, just because it's actually a lot of work to go in and out of character. And that's very interesting. I thought that going into character would just be, acting a certain way. I know I'm just using the word acting. But I always wondered, like, why is it so much work to get into character? And then I started doing a bit more with reality, doing a bit more with channeling and spirits, doing some acting, and found that if you want to stay that way, you do need to stay that way. If you want to really get into the experience, get the best of the experience, it's kind of like if you had a quality of acting experience, a quality of immersion. Like, immersion, more immersion is up here, less immersion down here. And let's say this is time. So over time, you just start the experience and you get more and more immersed as you go into the experience. And at some point, you're probably going to plateau and stay immersed like that. And at some point, you're going to end. You're either going to get tired or you're going to stop. And instead of being like, oh, I'm on it, off, you're like a parabola. You slowly ease up to it, you slowly ease down. And so that means that the first couple of takes might not be as good as the takes over in here. And then you'll probably notice towards the end of the day's shooting that the takes gradually fall off in quality. It's time to go home. So you can actually have that with your reality jumping experience. You may find that over in this area and over in this area is where you have memories of both or experience of both. This area here is where you have the most in-depth and richest experiences, but it's also the time where you're the least yourself. So there's kind of a give and take right there. Some actors who go into character for a very long time do some really weird things on set. For instance, Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman in Man in the Moon, and it's Man on the Moon. Sorry, sometimes I get the titles mixed up, but the REM song was the title. He was in character for Andy Kaufman that entire filming, and he actually punched a guy because he was in character as Andy Kaufman. He would not have been a guy that Jim Carrey would have punched. Let's just say that. And so that's because he's here for the whole filming, and the parts of him that wouldn't punch that guy are all down here. So, that's an example using acting of reality shifting. Instead of going to another reality entirely, what they are doing is that they're taking that whole reality and kind of putting it on themselves. They're bringing the reality here, which makes a lot of sense because you're filming a movie. You're trying to make a scene. It's really a stage, but you're trying to make it seem like this whole world. And one of the ways that you can do that is bring in its characters. Well, we bring in this character, and then they take the world with them. So that's one way to do reality shifting. But if you went to sleep, then you could actually go somewhere else instead of taking this character into you. Because this is a bit like summoning or channeling. Whereas if you wanted to go somewhere else and have their experience that they're having, let them be the driver and let you be the passenger. Or let their body walk around and maybe you're the driver, whatever, but it's no longer this body of yours anymore. Usually you go to sleep. Either that or you trance out. I mean, you can do it while driving or something, but I sure hope that you don't, because you might wreck. Driving trances are interesting. Be very careful. So when it comes to experiencing it while you're asleep, this is where it gets very interesting. Asleep, channeling, or trancing, whatever. Just in an altered state of consciousness where you're not really moving around much, or like, let's say you're on a walk. On a walk is a good one. Like, you kind of like stop keeping track of being the person on the walk, and you start keeping track of the other person that you are as well. So this is where I like to talk about what kind of model are we really using. Because a lot of people, what they're saying is, I am over here, and I sense all these other people over there, or all these other worlds out there, and I want to go into one of those. Because I like them, because they contact me, because I have some spiritual work to do, because it just sounds like fun, whatever. But you decide, I'm going to go over to those people who are over there. And then at the end of the night, I'm going to come back. Cool, that is a possibility. But another possibility, which is going to be a lot easier for you, is you are this person. And this person is in this physical reality right here. In this world right now, with its own timeline, its own physics, sciences, history, other people, all of that. Now, that is you right now. But what if you had a past life? and this is your past life. Well, the way that time and identity work is that, well, time's kind of an illusion, and a lot of it's memory based. So if that part of you technically still exists somewhere, which technically it does, like there could be another reality where they're still kicking or whatever. But like, imagine that you had a part of yourself that was alive in 1970, and you were born, like me, in 1981. Now, right now, of course, it's 2021. You're walking around being your 2021 self. Well, your 1970s self is still experiencing the 1970s. You can go over there at any time. You're not really going anywhere. What's happening is that your 1970s self, you're moving your consciousness, your focus, you're shifting your focus over to being your 1970 self instead of your born in 1981 self. Your 2021 self just slides right over to 1970. Not because you move anywhere, you're still here. But over in 1970 is where your awareness shifts focus. Like, more focus of awareness comes onto 1970, and less focus of awareness goes on to 1981. Now, how do you get back? How do you get back to 2021? How do you get your focus back to being in 2021? You don't really have to stress over that. None of this is linear. It's not like over in 2021 for 5 minutes you just kind of stare into space and nothing happens. It's more like you're still being yourself in 2021. That's all happening. 1970 is happening too. And all kinds of other versions of you are happening at the same time. And you could be you could be aware of any of those at any given time. They could be from alternate universes. They could be other species. You could be a cat somewhere. Different history, different DNA, whatever. But you are all of those right now. All of those are existing because there's a level to which linear time doesn't even really apply here. So if at that level that linear time doesn't apply, all of you is existing at once. All you need to do is pay attention over here. And eventually, you'll start paying attention to over here again. Now, you might lose something along the way. Like, you might not remember a whole bunch of stuff that happened over here, or that happened over here, or happened over here, whenever you go back over here. That's okay. Those parts of yourself, they remember what they need to remember, and they're going to go on and do their thing. Maybe they need those memories and you don't even need them. Or maybe at some point you're going to be able to start establishing a connection telepathically with these parts of yourself and start to say, hey, what was going on back then? Could you just let me know what were the details that I missed? And, as they connect and as you talk and as your awareness spreads, they can actually help you with that. This is just yourself helping yourself after all. Now, a key thing that I want to emphasize is this sounds like a lot of fun. When you are in this part of your awareness, when you are in your 2021 self, just keep on remembering that while all this is happening and you're doing all these cool things, you still got to make a sandwich, still need to drink water, still need to do all your regular care things, need to check into this reality, and you can check into this reality in 2021, this one where you physically are here right now. You can check into that at any time for however long you want, for years, and you could come back to this work like it had been a second ago, because time's not going to pass in any of these. So you don't really have to worry about, I don't know, there's not a lot of pressure here to get the timing right. It's not like one of those movies where it's like you have to figure out exactly how everyone does this one weird causality thing to make the key appear that opens the door that makes the magic crystal summon into existence or something. Like, you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. This is just all you, being you, all the time. You could just pay attention to you, or you could pay attention to another you, or you could pay attention to this you. But this is all you. So that is how I am tackling reality shifting for right now. I think there's a lot of ways that you can do it, because I think that these other parts of reality that you have the potential to be in, there's all the ones that you already are in, because you already are those. There's all the ones that you could be. There's all the potential imaginary stuff. There's all these places to explore. There's all kinds of different ways you can do this. This is one technique, and it's also just one way of looking at these things. It's just a model. It's only a model.